The corporate offices of Sterling Financial Group occupied floors 20 through 30 of a glass tower in downtown Atlanta. Everything about the place screamed success. Marble floors, original artwork, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. It was the kind of place where even the air felt expensive, filtered and climate-controlled to perfection. Michael Sterling had built this empire from scratch over 25 years. At 52, he was the CEO of one of the most successful financial firms in the Southeast. His corner office took up half the 30th floor. His suits were custom-tailored. His reputation was flawless. He was known for being fair but demanding, professional but distant. A good boss, people said, but not a warm one. It was 7:30 on a Thursday evening when Michael stepped out of his office, planning to head home after another 14-hour day. The floor was mostly empty, just a few people working late in their cubicles, their faces illuminated by computer screens in the darkening office. That's when he heard it, a sound so quiet he almost missed it, a muffled sob coming from the women's bathroom near the elevator bay. Michael hesitated. This wasn't his business. People had personal lives, personal problems. His job was to run a company, not to get involved in employee drama. He should just go home, let whoever was have their privacy, pretend he hadn't heard anything. But something made him stop, something about the sound of that crying, so carefully muffled, so desperately trying to stay quiet, pulled at something in his chest he thought he'd sealed away years ago. He knocked gently on the bathroom door. "Hello? Is everything okay in there?" The crying stopped immediately. A moment of silence, then a shaky voice. "I'm fine. Sorry. I'll be out in a minute." Michael recognized the voice. Jessica Martinez, one of the data analysts who'd been with the company for about 8 months. He'd approved her hiring, but had maybe spoken to her twice since then. She was competent, quiet, always one of the last to leave. He knew her face, but little else. "Take your time," Michael said. "I'll wait out here. Make sure you're okay." He heard water running, the sound of someone trying to compose themselves. 5 minutes passed. Then the door opened, and Jessica emerged, her eyes red and swollen despite obvious attempts to wash her face. She was in her early 30s, wearing a blazer that had seen better days and shoes that were practical rather than fashionable. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she clutched her purse like a shield. "Mr. Sterling," she said, her voice still thick with tears. "I'm so sorry. This is completely unprofessional. It won't happen again." Michael looked at her properly for the first time. Really looked. He saw the exhaustion carved into her face, the kind that came from more than just working late. He saw the way her hands trembled slightly. He saw someone barely holding it together, someone who'd reached the end of their rope and didn't know how to ask for help. "When did you last eat?" Michael asked suddenly. Jessica blinked, surprised by the question. Lunch, I think. Maybe. I don't remember." "Come with me," Michael said, making a decision that felt both impulsive and somehow inevitable. "My office. We're going to order food, and you're going to tell me what's wrong. That's not a request. That's an order from your CEO." Jessica's eyes widened. "Mr. Sterling, I can't. I have to get home. My daughter. Call whoever's watching your daughter. Tell them you'll be an hour late. This is important." Something in his tone, firm but not unkind, made Jessica nod. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and made a quick call to someone named Mrs. Chun, explaining she'd be late, promising extra payment, her voice tight with stress. In Michael's office, he ordered pizza from the Italian place downstairs and gestured for Jessica to sit in one of the comfortable chairs by the window. She perched on the edge, looking ready to bolt at any moment. "Talk to me," Michael said gently, sitting across from her. "What's going on?" And Jessica, perhaps because she was too tired to keep it in anymore, perhaps because something about Michael's unexpected kindness broke down her walls, started talking. The story came out in a rush. Single mother to a 5-year-old daughter named Sophia. Ex-husband left when Sophia was 6 months old, never paid child support. Jessica working 2 jobs, this one during the day and a night shift at a grocery store on weekends. Living in a cramped apartment in a neighborhood she hated because it was all she could afford. her mother helping with childcare when she could. But her mother was 72 and struggled with her own health issues. Today, Jessica said, her voice breaking, Sophia's school called. She needs glasses. They did a vision screening, and she can't see the board. I knew something was wrong because she keeps squinting and getting headaches, but I kept hoping it would just go away because I don't know how to pay for glasses. I don't have vision insurance. The quotes I got are $400, and I have $73 in my checking account until payday next week, and that has to cover food and gas and... She broke down completely, covering her face with her hands. I can't even buy my daughter glasses. What kind of mother can't afford glasses for a child? She's struggling in school because she can't see and I can't fix it. I can't fix anything. I'm failing her every single day. Michael sat in silence, the weight of her words settling over him like a heavy blanket. He thought about his own daughter, now 25 and working in New York, who'd never wanted for anything, who'd gotten glasses at 7 when she needed them, gotten braces at 12, gone to private school, gone to college, never had to worry about money or food or whether her basic needs would be met. He thought about his ex-wife, who'd left him 10 years ago for someone less focused on work and more focused on life, who'd told him he'd forgotten what it meant to struggle, to need, to be human. He'd dismissed her words as bitter. But sitting here listening to Jessica cry, he wondered if she'd been right. Jessica, Michael said quietly, how much do you make here? She wiped her eyes. $45,000 a year. Before taxes. Michael pulled up her file on his computer. $45,000, in a city where rent alone ate up most of that. He looked at her position, her performance reviews. Excellent work, always on time, never complained. He'd been paying her barely above entry level for work that was worth far more. Starting tomorrow, Michael said, you're getting a raise to $65,000. Your position is being reclassified, the senior data analyst. That comes with full benefits, including vision insurance. I'll have HR process it tonight, so it's effective immediately. Jessica stared at him, her mouth opening and closing without sound. I what? Why? Because you're underpaid and overworked, and I should have noticed sooner. Because no employee of mine should be working 2 jobs and still can't afford glasses for their child. Because it's the right thing to do. Tears streamed down Jessica's face. I don't understand. You barely know me. Why would you do this? Michael was quiet for a moment, looking out at the Atlanta skyline, the city lights beginning to twinkle in the dusk. Because 27 years ago, I was you. The pizza arrived, and Michael insisted Jessica eat while he told her his story. A story he rarely shared, had almost forgotten himself. I grew up in rural Georgia, Michael began, his voice soft with memory. My father died when I was 8. Heart attack. Left my mother with 3 kids and no life insurance. She worked as a waitress, but it wasn't enough. We were poor, really poor. Government cheese poor. Donated clothes poor. Sometimes no electricity poor. He paused, remembering. When I was 12, I needed glasses. My teacher noticed I was squinting, sent home a note. My mother took me to the free clinic, and they confirmed it. But even with the clinic's help, glasses cost money we didn't have. I remember my mother crying in the clinic parking lot, holding that prescription, knowing she couldn't fill it. Jessica had stopped eating, listening intently. A man overheard us. He was in the parking lot having a smoke break, worked at the clinic. He asked what was wrong, and my mother told him. She was so tired she just told a stranger the truth. And this man, who probably didn't make much himself, pulled out his wallet and handed my mother $200. Just like that. Said his son wore glasses too. Said every kid deserved to see the world clearly. Michael's voice grew thick with emotion. Those glasses changed my life. Not just because I could see the board at school, but because I could read without headaches. I devoured books, excelled in school, got a scholarship to college, built a career, built this company. All because a stranger in a parking lot decided to help. He looked directly at Jessica. I spent years trying to find that man, to thank him, to pay him back. But I never could. He was a stranger, doing a random shift at clinic, and he vanished back into his life. So I promised myself that when I made it, when I had the means, I'd do what he did. I'd help people who were where my mother was. But you know what happened instead? Jessica shook her head. I forgot, Michael said simply. I got successful and comfortable and busy, and I forgot what it felt like to need help. I forgot my mother crying in that parking lot. I forgot the kindness of strangers. I built walls of wealth around myself and stopped seeing the people who were struggling right in front of me. Like you. He leaned forward. You've been working here 8 months, Jessica. 8 months. And I never once noticed you were drowning. Never noticed you came in early and left late because you needed every hour. Never noticed a strain on your face or the worn-out shoes or the fact that you brought the same lunch every single day because it was all you could afford. I stopped seeing people. And that's not the kind of man I want to be. Jessica wiped her tears. You're helping me now. That's what matters. It's a start, Michael said, but it's not enough. Tomorrow, we're reviewing every salary in this company, making sure no one is underpaid, making sure everyone has the benefits they need. And we're starting a program for employees facing financial emergencies, an assistance fund. No one should have to choose between food and glasses for their child. The next morning, Michael called an executive meeting that surprised everyone. He announced the new salary reviews and emergency assistance fund. Some executives protested the cost. Michael overruled them with a firmness that left no room for argument. We're a financial services company, he said. We manage well for others. If we can't ensure financial dignity for our own people, what are we doing? What's the point of any of this? He personally went to HR and expedited Jessica's raise and benefits. By noon, she had vision insurance. By Friday, Sophia had new glasses, bright purple frames she'd picked out herself, and according to Jessica, had cried with joy because she could finally see clearly. Michael started doing something he'd never done before. He walked the floors. He talked to employees. He learned names, learned stories, learned struggles. He discovered a young man supporting his disabled mother, a woman paying off medical debt from her husband's cancer treatment, a father with a special needs child who needed therapy not covered by insurance. One by one, Michael helped them. Raises were deserved. Assistance from the fund when needed. Flexible hours. Better benefits. Not because it was good PR, but because it was right. Because he remembered what it felt like to be helpless. And he'd been given the power to make sure others didn't have to feel that way. His executives worried about costs. His accountants raised concerns. But something interesting happened. Employee retention skyrocketed. Productivity increased. People worked harder because they felt valued, seen, appreciated. The company culture shifted from corporate coldness to something warmer, more human. And Michael changed too. He left work earlier, spent more time with his daughter when she visited. He volunteered at the same free clinic where that stranger had helped his mother years ago. He reconnected with parts of himself he'd buried under success and ambition. 6 months after that night at his office, Jessica stopped by with Sophia before work. The little girl wore her purple glasses and clutched a drawing she'd made in school. Mr. Sterling, Sophia said shyly, "This is for you. It's a thank you picture." The drawing showed 3 stick figures. One labeled Mommy, one labeled me, and one labeled Mr. Sterling the Angel. They were all smiling, holding hands under a bright sun. Michael felt his throat tighten. He knelt down to Sophia's level. "This is the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me." "Thank you, Sophia. Are you doing better in school now that you can see?" Sophia nodded enthusiastically. "I can read the board, and books don't hurt my head anymore. I love reading now. I want to read everything." After they left, Michael hung the drawing on his office wall, right next to his business awards and framed achievements. It meant more than all of them combined. 2 years later, Michael stood at a podium at the annual Atlanta Business Leaders Conference, accepting an award for innovative workplace practices. But instead of the usual corporate speech, he told a different story. He told them about hearing someone cry in a bathroom, about Jessica and Sophia, about a stranger in a parking lot 27 years ago who changed his life with $200 and a moment of kindness. about how success had made him blind and how one employee's tears had given him back his sight. "I thought leadership was about profits and growth," Michael said to the silent audience. "And yes, those things matter. But real leadership is about seeing the people who work for you, really seeing them, knowing their struggles, helping when you can, creating a workplace where dignity isn't a luxury, but a standard." He pulled out his phone and showed Sophia's drawing on the screen behind him. "This is what success looks like, not the numbers in our quarterly reports, but a 5-year-old who can read without headaches, a mother who doesn't have to work 2 jobs, employees who feel valued and seen. That's the legacy worth building." After the speech, dozens of CEOs approached him, asking how to implement similar programs. Michael shared everything freely, hoping to create ripples far beyond his own company. Jessica was promoted again, now managing a team of analysts. She'd moved to a better apartment in a safer neighborhood. Sophia was thriving in school, talking about becoming a teacher someday so she could help kids learn to read. On the 2nd anniversary of that night, Michael took Jessica and Sophia to dinner at a nice restaurant. Sophia chatted about school while Jessica smiled, relaxed in a way she'd never been when he first met her. "You changed our lives," Jessica said quietly when Sophia excused herself to use the bathroom. "You know that, right? Everything is different now. Better. I can't thank you enough." Michael shook his head. "You changed mine. You reminded me why I started this company in the first place. It wasn't to get rich. It was to build something that mattered, that helped people, that made a difference. Somewhere along the way, I forgot that. You helped me remember." He smiled. "We saved each other, Jessica. That's what people do when they stop looking away and start seeing each other." Sophia returned, and they finished dinner talking about her dreams of becoming a teacher. When Michael drove home that night, he thought about the man in the parking lot who'd helped his mother. He'd never found him to say thank you, but he'd found a way to honor his kindness, to pass it forward, to be for others what that stranger had been for his family. And he realized that maybe that was the point all along. You don't pay back kindness. You pay it forward. You become the stranger in the parking lot for someone else. You remember what it felt like to need help, and you make sure you're the kind of person who stops and helps instead of walking past. Sometimes, the greatest success isn't measured in wealth or awards or corner offices. It's measured in purple glasses and drawings labeled Mr. Sterling the Angel. It's measured in employees who can afford to live with dignity. It's measured in remembering our humanity, even when the world tells us to forget it. And sometimes, a single moment of stopping to ask if someone's okay can change not just their life, but yours too. Because in seeing others clearly, we finally see ourselves not as we pretend to be, but as we're meant to be, human, connected, and capable of the same kindness that once saved us. The truest form of success isn't climbing above others, but reaching back to lift them up, remembering that we're all one bathroom cry away from needing someone to hear us, to see us, to remind us that we're not alone. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video. It helps us share more beautiful stories like this one. Kindly drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I like to know what part of the world engages with my story. Oh, also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel Deep Cut Stories for more emotional stories about love, kindness, and fate that'll touch your heart deeply. Thank you for watching.